Hi everyone, my name is Anton Asaka, and I'm going to give a brief review of the movie Django Unchained. I'll start with the positive aspects of the movie. The movie had a great script, the acting was excellent, um, the action sequence were great. The movie kept me interested the whole time. So in that sense, the movie was excellent. I actually started watching the movie around 8:30. It's a 3 hour long movie, and despite that, I didn't doze off, or feel disinterested at all. The movie really kept my attention. So from that aspect, the movie is great. And I'm sure that the movie will receive a lot of recognition. It'll receive nominations and awards, uh, and I won't be surprised because this movie is in line with Quentin Tarantino's other movies, such as Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, and Jackie Brown. So it's a great movie just from an artistic perspective. But when you go beneath the surface, there are several issues that are troubling, at least from my viewpoint. The first issue that I have with this movie is the overuse of the N word. Uh, I understand that if a movie is dealing with slavery, the N word will be used in that movie. Everyone understands that. But in this movie, it seems like the director went above and beyond, what would be normal, even if for that time period. It seems like the director actually took delight in using the N word throughout the script. Every single character just about uses the N word repeatedly throughout this movie, both black and white characters. So I was disturbed by that, and it doesn't it I'm not one to be disturbed easily. I mean, I watch different types of movies all the time. I listen to different types of music, but it seems like in this instance, the use of the N word was just excessive. And I have a real problem with that. I mean, despite the fact that people have normalized what is essentially abnormal, some African Americans have even uh, internalized this word and they use it, regularly. That doesn't make it acceptable. I mean, the fact of the matter is, the N word is the most offensive word in the English language. And there's a lot of oppressive history attached to that word. It's a word of humiliation. It's a word to put down a people. It's a word to degrade a people. So for a movie to use it lightly and freely like it's any other word in the human vocabulary, that's unacceptable. And, we should challenge that every time, especially if it's a movie, directed by a white director. I mean, that's a disgrace for a movie to just freely use such an insulting word to describe a group of people, and then we are the ones that actually turn out and watch these movies and support these films with our dollars and our time. And that's just unacceptable. And I want to boldly challenge that every time. The second issue that I have with this movie is just the comical nature of the movie. We're talking about slavery. This movie is about, the oppression of a people. And, for jokes to be frequently told in such a movie, I think that that's inappropriate. It's not acceptable. I understand that even in the most oppressive situations, people will find some source of happiness. They will find some moments of humor. But in this movie, the humor was inappropriate. It was out of place. It's like if you have a movie about the Holocaust, you're not going to have people laughing and joking and kidding around in that. That would be inappropriate. I mean, it's just as inappropriate for such humor to be in a movie as serious as this, a movie that's about slavery. I mean, how can you have jokes about going on in a movie about slavery? I mean, slavery was one of the most horrific events in human history. I mean, millions of people died during the Middle Passage. Africans were robbed of their humanity. We were robbed of everything that made us human: our language, our culture, our religions. We were robbed of those things. We were beaten, killed, raped, and for someone to, freely just have jokes going on in the movie that deals with such serious subject matter as racism and slavery and rebellion. I mean, I just think that that's inappropriate, and it kind of like set me off tilter, to hear people laughing at jokes occurring during a movie about slavery. I mean, that I just found that to be inappropriate and offensive. And I mean, that's probably, one of the director's objectives, to offend people, to make people respond to his movie, on an emotional level. So that's one thing that I did not, that I was disturbed by in the movie. Another thing is just the way Africans were depicted in the movie. We weren't depicted as full human beings. I mean, we were more like stage props in this movie. You didn't see the full humanity of the characters. The slaves, most of the Africans in the movie, the African Americans, had very little dialogue in the script. I mean, there were very few words said by the African American characters. Most of the dialogue involved the white characters for the most part, and a couple of black characters. Those two characters are Django and the character played by Samuel Jackson. But for the most part, the African Americans did not have a major dialogue in the movie. So that was disappointing. So even Kerry Washington, who was supposed to be one of the main characters in the movie, she played a very limited role. She did not have many lines in the movie. And she basically was a prop as well. I mean, there are several scenes where she's just standing there looking at Jamie Foxx's character. And the few instances where she talks, is very few, and her moments on the screen in terms of dialogue were very brief. And that brings me to another point about the movie. I mean, just the utter disrespect of black women in this movie. The one of the African Americans, in the movie referred to black women as the B word repeatedly. So, that's another aspect of the movie that was, off-putting. And the fact that, there wasn't many African American characters with much dialogue. They just said, very brief. They just made very brief statements throughout the movie. So that was one aspect of the movie that bothered me. And finally, the main point that I would like to talk about at this point in this video is the whole white savior syndrome that we see in a lot of these movies. Here, just like in all these other movies, you have the benevolent white person rescuing the poor black people. Here you had a white man free Django. You had a white man train Django. You had a white man lead Django to his wife and eventually help Django be victorious in the movie. So again, it's like we have this situation where, the white people are telling the story. So of course they're going to make the white person the real hero or the real puppet master behind the strings. So I'm just tired of that narrative. I wish that we were the ones telling our own stories instead of depending on others to tell our story for us. I wish that we could give our dollars to, more black directors so that they can create their own vision, and we need to support their visions. And I'll just end with that.
Wonders on every side, life in marvelous time, life in marvelous time.